Kubi, why is it important to talk about gender-based violence during the 16 days of activism?
I believe it's important to talk about gender-based violence throughout the year. And I think what the 16 days provides us with is a period of time where we can really create heightened awareness and we can put the spotlight on a very large problem that we're facing in the region. From the statistics that we've been able to gather through a violence against women baseline study that we've done in 6 countries, the figures we are seeing are telling us that we're dealing with a pandemic even larger than HIV and AIDS. So it really does give us an opportunity to take stock. What has happened in the last year and what should we be prioritizing in the next 12 months? So it's not about GBV just being a priority during the 16 days, but using the period to really look at what we've achieved and what the gaps are.
Can you tell me about some of the achievements that you've had so far?
Well, I think about in relation to achievements, it's anything to do with gender-based violence is a collective responsibility. So several countries, GenderLinks works across the Southern African region. We work in 15 countries. And some of the achievements have been, excellent legislation and policy frameworks on GBV, good strategic plans. Unfortunately, it stops there. So people are not implementing those plans and they are not allocating sufficient resources to dealing with gender-based violence. Let me give you an example. The highest form of violence that women are experiencing across the 6 countries is emotional violence. Of course, it comes in a package and often the emotional violence is coupled with other forms of violence. But those women who do experience emotional violence also think about suicide at least once a month. What that effectively means is that we need a very strong element of psychosocial support to assist women dealing with gender-based violence. Now, in almost all the countries we live in, psychosocial support is almost negligible for survivors of GBV, because most often what we're doing is responding to the immediate injury. We look at the physical injury, which women do heal from, but the emotional scars, are with them for their lifetime. So we really have to look at reprioritizing and looking at different kinds of strategies, because everything we've done so far is not leading to a reduction in GBV. I think the other huge shift that we require is to move from responsive strategies and support to a prevention agenda. Very similar to what was done with HIV/AIDS. Huge amounts of resources and energy were used to promote prevention. And we're not doing the same for GBV. And of course, the issue with gender-based violence is that the problem often is not in the public sphere. It's seen as something private and something that you have to hide. So part of our strategy needs to think through, how do we reach people in their homes?
And Kubi, can you tell me a little bit more about what we can do after gender-based violence takes place to kind of rehabilitate these people back into, for lack of a better word, normal life?
Or rehabilitate the women or the perpetrators, or both?
The women.
I think a big element to this that we haven't addressed is that women who are in abusive relationships, their biggest challenge is not that the abuse is, of course, a major part of their lives, but a bigger issue is confidence and agency. Women are not feeling able to function as full citizens in their countries with all the rights that they have been given through their constitutions. And a lot of that is to do with the inability to see themselves as people with power that they can actually use. And I think that's linked to a bigger question of economic empowerment. Now, that's not to say that women who earn money and who are in, big jobs, etc., are not being abused. In fact, the opposite is true. But what it means is control over economic resources. Most of the women we speak to in the research are most concerned with their children's well-being, with schooling, with school fees, with uniforms, with books. So if they're able to control the economic resources and they are able to make decisions about what to do with them, I think a lot of this will start to shift. I think that's the one level of it. The second level is that we have places of safety for women, and it's very different across the region, and places of safety where women can go after they've been abused. The problem is, the length of stay differs, and it's about, a month, 6 weeks maximum. What does a woman do thereafter? So housing is a very serious issue. We need to look at secondary housing, where women can find a safe and secure place to live with their children and then be able to support that family.